Okay, gearing up for big. The Lobos coming into town at the University of New Mexico. Played them the last couple years, so I have an idea of what they're about. They're going to play extremely tough. They have a bunch of tough kids. That's kind of what their program has been, regardless of who the head coach is. But for us, it's going to be building off our second half. We played our best football in the second half of UNLV. The problem in the past, we've taken about 2 steps forward and we just take 2 steps back. So it's making sure we still execute at that level. And I think for the first time this season, we played complementary football. Our defense was getting stops, offense was moving the ball. We had good field position, forced them to drive long fields, and then that's the type of brand of football that we want to play. So we're getting closer now. We have to make that big step this week. So let's go with some questions.
Jason Walker with Casterly Daily. You mentioned the second half against UNLV and second half against Boise, similar, where I think you were even in points against the Broncos, outscored UNLV by 18. How much of that is you guys playing better football, and how much of that is maybe those two teams letting off the gas after being up by a lot at halftime?
Boise State was a lot of their backups. There's no doubt about that. UNLV was their starters the entire time. We know that, they know that. Now the problem is when you're down 41-7, it really don't matter. That's way too hard of a hole. The biggest thing is our players did walk away more confident than you probably could imagine because, UNLV's got a chance to make the playoffs, and we just got out from the second half. And the funny thing about it is we didn't call any different calls on offense or defense or special teams, but the kids had belief and they executed at a very high level, everything I've been talking about for the last month and a half. And that's what it looks like. So we're so dang close, but we can't take our step back. So we need to use that momentum that we had in the second half and make sure we come out firing versus UNM in the rest of the games.
Trying Eric Branson with 106.9 The Fan. On that, you felt pretty good about your second half against Boise, hoping to get that to carry forward in the first half against UNLV, but that failed to happen. What is it about the first half, particularly second quarter, that's been kind of the bugaboo for you guys?
Yeah, I think if you look at it, it's just I wouldn't say it's just because of the second quarter, but that's when big plays happen. That's when we've had turnovers, long punt returns, kickoff return for a touchdown. I don't know if we lose focus into the second quarter. I wouldn't believe that, but it's been a large number of events that happen that take place in that quarter, which get us out of the game. So we're going to work and practice on making sure we push through that middle half. Everyone can be focused play one and everyone can be focused the last play, but making sure our players are on point in the thick of practice, because that is where we're struggling. And it starts with turnovers and it starts with big plays on defense and in special teams. So if we can eliminate that, right, you're going to be right where you want to be. Problem is you have to take care of yourself.
Eileen, hey, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. New Mexico has definitely made some pretty big strides offensively this year, a little more balanced than they've been in the past couple of years. So what do you see differently from them than you've seen the previous couple of seasons?
One, quarterback play. This guy was their Wildcat last year guy. Now he's the every down guy, and he's unbelievable. He is running the ball better than anybody maybe we've seen up to this point, and he has a laser of an arm and throwing all these tight window throws. So their run game has been open, and he has been just willing the pass game, and they're so dangerous because teams will get to him, but they've only given up 1 sack on the entire season, in large part because no one can get this guy down. Now it turns into scramble mode, and they got receivers leaking out late. So they've been very successful with him, and they've had a couple of receivers that's been there for the last 3 years that done a great job. So I think Broncos, if you look at their schedule, it's been pretty similar to ours. They've played some really good teams and kind of got on a roll the last couple of games versus more easier opponents. So they're way better in their record. We know that. Their offense has been rolling. So we have to be able to get some stops, force some turnovers, and get our offense on the field and get some points.
I'm curious, how familiar are you with Bronco Mendenhall and just his past and what he's done as a coach?
Watching as a fan, met him a couple times at the Mountain West Media Days. But he's been, arguably one of the top coaches in the country at a couple different spots, was at BYU and had great success and carried that over to Virginia. And I think just a home run hire for New Mexico to get him down there. So that's what he does. He fixes problem and he builds programs. So whether he's going to flip it this year or down the road, he will get it done. That's just the type of guy he is.
Coach Dryling, Jason Turner again. So how valuable was it playing a guy like Williams of UNLV, a guy who's also a dual threat heading into this game?
I wouldn't say valuable because I never want to do that. But it does show you what we need to get better at. We ended up with 4 sacks in that game, but it very easily could have been 7 or 8 if we would have kept the quarterback contained. We always talk about the number one rule of my defense, and that's don't let the ball cross your face, meaning if you're outside the ball carrier, you have to keep it leveraged and turn it back to your pursuit. We missed too many of those, and large number were sacks. So if we're going to be successful versus UNM, it's got to be contain the quarterback, keep him in the teeth of the defense, and don't let him get out running.
Jason Walker again. I know explosive plays have been a talking point with defense. You've, I think, maybe touched on this before, but what tends to go wrong with the defense when they're giving up those big plays?
It's typically one, the golden rule, right? The ball bounces outside. But then 2, we just don't execute good enough. Our players do the fits all week in practice, and for some reason we get bad eyes. And Jason, big plays don't come from being outmatched; they come from being misaligned or having missed keys, not looking at who you're supposed to look at. So just like the second quarter talk, I mean, anyone can fit a play correctly once, but it's having the discipline to do it over and over and over again. And that's what we're going to continue to push and practice. And I get it. Like, we're playing a bunch of young guys on defense, but at the end of the day, no one cares. Everyone has injuries, right? You have to get to guys that you have better. And that's what we intend to do.
Jared Franson, once again, could you just comment on how valuable it is for your offense to have Jalen Royals, a guy that can go for 100, 200 yards a game, and then you now have another wide receiver who has that potential with Jack Estera?
Yeah, I don't think it's another wide receiver. It's kind of what I talk about. We have a 2-headed monster every single week, and there's always a third option of someone who's going to take off. So, for instance, the first game, right, Jalen Royals and Razul are going to get their yards, and they're going to be unbelievable players. First game, Kyrese goes for 100-something yards on 3 catches. Then you have Jack going for 10 catches for 150 yards. Those first 2 guys draw so much attention. There's always room for somebody else to really take things off, whether it's Brock Lane or Otto or Grant Page. It just allows our offense to be so multiple in how we get the ball out, right? And right now, like if with the way Spencer's playing, if we can eliminate our turnovers and say what it is, most of his turnovers, he had 2 tip passes, one of them that he fumbled the ball. If we can cut the turnovers out, then we are going to be very, very, very hard to beat down the stretch. And that 3-headed monster with that third guy being a question mark makes it so fun for fans and so hard for defensive coordinators against us.
Patrick Mayhorn from the Ag Ship. You got, I think, if not double-digit pressures, nearly double-digit pressures from Kean Sloan and Lawrence Valatea on Friday. How important is it for you and for this defense that those guys have responded to these new larger roles in the way that they have, and they're starting to see this improvement?
Yeah, Patrick, that's a great question. We're down, 3 of our top defensive ends right now with Blaine Spires, Anoka, and Gabe Peterson. So Kean Sloan and Lawrence, guys were planning to have big years, but now they're planning to be the guy. And they're both playing over 60 snaps a play. So they did an unbelievable job. Kean, I think, finished with 2 or 3 sacks, and Lawrence was right there on a couple of them. Just needs to sink his hips and finish. But for us to have success, those guys have to be on top of it. We're pretty thin at the outside linebacker room. We had CJ and we had Will Holmes as the other 2 guys that played at that position, both very young. As far as college experience, and they're getting better and better as we go. But if Kean and Lawrence can set unbelievable edges in our defense, whether it's the run game or the pass game, then we're going to be exactly where we need to be in keeping everyone funneled back to the teeth of the defense.
So Jason Walker again. You mentioned the turnovers. You've been doing pretty well with turnovers. You had like a 4-game stretch, and there was 5 total. And then 4 against UNLV. Was that just kind of an anomaly there where you felt like you had to keep the turnovers down and then just kind of popped up again?
Yeah, maybe one of Spencer's was a bad pass. We felt like Jalen got tackle to the ground. That guy caught it. But the other one was an RPO where, number 7 from UNLV, who might be the best player in the country, jumped up and picked an RPO. The other one was a tip ball that was bouncing, and 7 dove and caught it. Then one was just on a QB run. We don't run Spencer a lot, but sometimes he does have the ability to pull if he can get yards, and he just got to be able to secure the football. So 3 of the 4 could have never happened, but they did happen, right? And that puts the team in a tough situation. Spencer knows that. The best part about it is, maybe not the first half Spencer wanted, and he finishes with 460 passing yards because he's so mentally tough and knows how to handle adversity. Now, if we can get rid of the mistakes, I think this team still has a chance to be really special.
Hey, Sonny, it's Jason Walker with Cash Philly Daily. Just want to ask about your decision to come back. I mean, that's also the decision to retire and then, I guess, unretire and come back and play.
Let's see. It was definitely a process that I had to take time for myself, and as I retired, it was something that I felt like it was best for me personally, for my body. In the past, I've been facing a lot of injuries, and as I made that decision to retire, I was actually I started working, started just doing a little stuff away from football, and as our bye week passed last week or a couple weeks ago. I've noticed that a lot of our men was going down on the D tackle side, and so I was asked if I had any interest to coming back, and I had a day alone just to actually think about it, pray about it, and talk to my family about it, and see the plan that I was going to take if I did come back on the team. And so here I'm now on the team, and I have no regrets of the decision of coming back. Just to be around the boys again and be around the football environment has just been I'd say just a one-time opportunity. Not much of us can be able to continue football in the future, but this is definitely a decision that I just felt like it was a God-given decision, just to come back and kind of put in my 2 cents on what I could do to help out the team, and any other way, even if it's playing or just feeding out good energy to the boys.
I kind of wanted to follow up on that, Sonny. This is Trent Wood with the Deseret News. I'm curious what you think you can bring to this team right now. Kind of what can you help a defensive line that's really hurt?
Me personally, I've noticed that I have to treat my body well to kind of keep going, and that's one thing I kind of push all the boys to do is just kind of take time to take care of their bodies and stay healthy. With us, with not so much D tackles, I'm just pushing everybody and as myself to kind of just use the advantage of the training room to keep our bodies healthy and just keep being ready for the next week and as we go on.
Sandy, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. This is a half serious, half joking question, but you gave McDonald's quite the plug last year in that post-game press conference after Nevada. I'm just curious if they ever approached you about any NLI.
No, not yet. Just probably just the one over here in Logan. Actually, me working there is it's been cool. Really a big McDonald's fan. I feel like as for right now, as coming back out of retirement, I shouldn't be eating McDonald's because of how much weight I gained during my 4 weeks of retirement. But yeah, it's definitely something I could do for after the season. Just focus on eating healthy now.
So you work at the McDonald's off of like 7th North? You currently work at McDonald's?
No, I was in the summer. I was working there on the Main Street and right there by the Smith's Marketplace.
And Brock, it's Jason Walker with Cash Philly Daily. Just want to ask how you guys try and build on the last 2 games offensively. Had pretty solid outings. How do you try and build on that going into the New Mexico game?
Right, we're just got a good thing going, I guess, offensively. So just trying to keep that rolling and understanding that first half of the season was not the easiest schedule. So trying to keep our heads high and just understand if we can roll against some of those defenses, we should be able to roll against the rest of these guys.
Brock, this is Trent Wood with the Deseret News. I'm curious, you kind of mentioned it. Obviously, the first half of your schedule was brutal, just the caliber of teams that you're playing. what's the confidence level on this team right now going into the meat of your conference schedule?
Right. Obviously, dudes are hurt. It's not fun to be 1-5, but I feel like we have a certain I wouldn't say anger, but a little urge to us to know that, look, we just played two of the best teams in the conference. The rest of these guys, we should go out there and win. So I feel like the team is confident and excited just for Saturday, another chance to try to get a win on the board, I guess.
I'll
Brock,
ask you one.
Oh, sorry.
No, you got it, Jason. You go first.
Okay, thanks, Trent. Yeah, Brock, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. Just, I mean, you looked sharp last game. I know you've had some injury. You've been dealing with some injury stuff. How are you feeling physically right now? Just out of curiosity.
Sir, I'm battling through. Just blessed every time I get to go out there and play. I tore my meniscus right before the first game, so been struggling with that, and then pulled the quad during Temple game. So just battling a lot, but no excuses. I'm blessed to put on the cleats and helmet and play the game, but I'm feeling good.
I was just curious, and I could be wrong about this, but it feels like you've had more opportunities in the passing game this year than in previous seasons, just the way the offense is played and the way that Spencer throws the ball. I was just curious how that has been for you, just getting to be more active, catching the ball, being part of that passing game.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I'm just blessed to have Spencer and Bryson trusting in me, trusting in the tight ends, and Coach Steph and DJ just calling my number. It's been awesome. Just blessed to be involved.
Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. If I could just add a follow-up to that, how much of that is your involvement in the passing game is obviously your skill level and continue to improve as a player, but also Spencer came from an offense that featured tight ends pretty heavily, or is it just Coach Cephalo, this is how he's rolling with it, or is it just a combination of all of the above?
Yeah, I'd like to say it's a big combination, but Spencer definitely he helps. I mean, he threw the ball to Sam Laporta for a couple of years in Iowa, so he knows what it's like to throw to the tight end, and he enjoys throwing to the tight end. And at the same time, I think Coach Steph is trying to get us involved and knowing it's going to help. So just a combination of both of those is definitely what's resulting in the more usage.
Good, Jason Walker again. How much have you guys tried to emphasize complementary football? I know with the defense, they're kind of struggling right now. What have you guys tried to do to kind of help out the defense and give them a break at times?
Yeah, Coach Dryland preaches it every day. He said, man, if we can go out and play like we did in that first half against Utah in all three phases, we're going to beat a lot of people. So just practice, work ethic, I think confidence, and just showing up every day, understanding that we got to do better and be better in order to play complementary football.
Last one for me, Brock. Again, Eric Franson. But with, as you said, you know, the team's hurting being down 1-5, but there's still a lot of confidence, especially when you look at the schedule as it kind of changes. How important is it to still have that fan support, even though it's a 1-5 record, but to still have strong fan support for you guys this stretch of the season?
Man, it's huge. I think we have the best fans in the Mountain West. I really believe that. When you come here to this stadium, you can't really tell whether we're 5-1 or 1-5 because the fans are bringing it. And I think that really helps boost the players and keep us motivated. I mean, that Utah game place was electric here, and I think that really helped us come out physical and play hard. Second half of UNLV, we're getting worked, and fans are still out here cheering, going crazy. And that helps us just build on our confidence and stay energetic. So I think it helps a lot. Fans are crucial.